You're welcome to my project management stories, where you'll be learning all about project management concepts in the most simple way. And in today's episode, communication. Let me cry. Guys, I just finished a recording, sat down, went over my script, did the whole presentation, and then just for me to play back the recording, lo and behold, there's no voice. I don't know what happened. Apparently, I don't know if it's the mic that was muted. No sound. Hey. Hi guys. Welcome back to my channel. If you're just joining in for the first time, my name is Olaomi Aldu, and I'm really excited that you're watching me today. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. And on this channel, I actually dish out very quality content, and you want to subscribe to my channel so that you get notified every time I drop something. And I can assure you that it will be so worth your time and you will really enjoy watching me. So please go ahead, smash the subscribe button so you get notified anytime I drop a content. And if you're already subscribed and you're joining me and you're watching me again, I just want to say thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Honestly, it means a lot to me that you actually picked up your phone and you're watching me, and I'm honored and I'm grateful. And I promise to always bring up something that you would enjoy, you would like to watch, and you will learn a lot from. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about communication. What is communication? Communication is actually a means of exchanging information, and this could be verbal, this could be non-verbal, this could be through visual means, it could be through written means. Okay, communication is actually, permit me to say, is two-way. It's you passing on information and of course ensuring that the other person understands and receives the information that has been passed across. And communication plays a very important role in projects. You cannot effectively have a project or run a project without communication. Why? Because projects involves several stakeholders. In another video I'm actually going to be explaining who stakeholders are, their impact on your project, and of course the role that they play in projects. For you to be able to manage the various aspects of a project, communication is key, communication is vital, and that is why that's one of the top skills that you would need to have as a project manager. Communication really is about, like I said earlier, passing across information, but it's not just a one-way thing, right? It's not just about passing out an information and then the other party actually receiving that information, understanding that information in the light in which you have sent the information. Okay, so being able to understand that information is also a part of communication. Now, there are different types of communication. You have the verbal communication, where you're orally speaking, and sharing and passing across the information that you want to share. You have the non-verbal communication, where you're getting some form of feedback, which is not verbal, but of course there are signals, there are signs, probably body language, or other means that are not actually spoken or oral. And then you have the visual communication, where you could use aids to actually pass across a message. It could be images, just anything visual really, just to help the other party understand or get the information that you're trying to pass across. Now, like I said earlier, communication is a very vital skill in managing successful projects. And that's one skill, to be sincere, I thought I was really strong in, until I came to my current location. Okay, so back in my home country, I had actually been in the corporate space for several years, and part of the things that the corporate space did for me was, because I was interfacing with people on a daily, I had my teams that I was working with. I also had senior management that I was dealing with, different stakeholders. I had clients and customers that I also had to interact with on a daily, and of course doing that over the years helped me to build a lot of confidence, in my communication ability. I was able to speak well such that people understand me. I was able to write in ways that people could understand, interpret, because I was trained to do so and I was doing it. So it was effective, because I had been doing it over time. I built some experience and some skills in that regard. And of course, being able to express myself or communicate or pass across information came readily, to me. It was easy. So it was one of the top skills that I would actually sell anytime I go out for like a job interview or put in an application for anything. But when I came into the UK, it was a very different ball game altogether for me. I still came in with the mindset that I had very good communication skills, because of course I was also interacting with people that were not necessarily just Nigerians, because actually I'm a Nigerian, I'm from Nigeria. I was interacting with also other multinationals. I'd actually traveled out of the country on several occasions, and I'd met with other people from other countries and other locations, and the people that I interacted with, I felt they really understood what I was saying. I understood what they were saying because of course I've been listening to several other languages and other cultures, so to an extent I would say I understand the English language quite well. And so I actually came in with that kind of confidence that I am a good communicator. I can pass on knowledge, and information very clearly. But when I started working in the UK, it was a different ball game altogether. What I once thought was a very strong skill, I began to discover that it wasn't such a skill for me per se. It was something that I needed to work on and develop, because like I said earlier, communication is not just about you saying something and just passing on the information. It also has to do with how what you have passed across is interpreted. And it was in the course of my working in the UK that I discovered that, with cultures come different patterns of communication. All right. So the fact that I had a very strong communication skill set back in Nigeria doesn't translate to me having a very strong skill set in the UK market. Why? Because the culture here is different. The way people interpret or understand nuances, understand certain words or gestures is different. So I actually had to start learning, the culture here and learning the way they communicate and they relate here, so that I could, better communicate with my team and of course on projects. Okay, so that's one thing that I think a lot of people miss, the fact that you are seemingly great in, or you think you're great, with passing across information or in communication in a particular circle or culture doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be great in every kind of circle. So a very important and vital part of communication is understanding your circle, understanding your location, understanding your teams, understanding your team, how they work, how they interpret, information. If, for instance, you have to work with a multicultural team, which is what is kind of prevalent, in the kind of work that I do now, you would have to understand, if you really want to be effective, really understand everybody's culture and then try to adopt your communication style in such a way that it can be acceptable or understood by the wide range of the people you're relating with. Okay, so if you have stakeholders, for instance, that are clients or customers, and they have a particular way of communicating or perceiving things, it will be to your interest to go back and actually do some studies and learn, and then try to relate with them based on the way that they can understand. Okay, because really, when you're handling projects, the client is like one of the major stakeholders, right? It's probably your key stakeholder because he's the one that you're trying to impress. He's the one that you're delivering the service or the product to. So you really want to be sure that they're able to understand the information you're passing across. So it's very important that you're able to understand how your clients would receive information and try to relate it that way. So I would say an effective communicator, or should I say mastering the skill of communication, is a continuous thing. You have to be very open-minded. Like, you have to be very open-minded to different cultures and different styles and patterns of communication. Like I said, communication is not just verbal, so it's not just about speaking English, permit me to say. It's about understanding terms and what they mean to people, words and what they mean to people. It's about understanding gestures, understanding signs and what it means to people. So going the extra mile to understand who your client is, their background, will help you communicate with them better. Okay, and of course would eventually translate to the kind of service that you deliver to them at the end of the day, or how effective your project would be. Another example is, for instance, your vendors. So you have a product that you need to launch, and you need certain vendors to, like, for example, now I'm a home designer and I rely on vendors to help with some of my renderings, and I reach out to them. The way I communicate with them, the way I'm able to pass across the information on what I want for my design will determine the output that I get at the end of the day. So if I understand how they think or how they communicate, it will place me in a better position, when I'm passing across my information to them as regards what I want on my project. So if they understand it, then they can deliver, better results to me, because they are working based on what I have shared. But if I just depend on just my own pattern of communicating or what I know to be good communication, and don't really settle to understand or to know how they interpret things, at the end of the day, they might not get the information I'm passing across to them properly, and they might not, of course, deliver the kind of service or product that I'm expecting from them. And at that moment, of course, I have wasted time. I've probably wasted resources to, engage in them. So communication is so vital. It's so key that it has to be ever evolving. It has to be, at your top. It's supposed to be on the top of your mind as a project manager. I really have to get this right. I really have to understand, terms. I really have to understand people. So really, it's a learning curve that you will keep staying at. I don't want to say you can't get perfect at it, but because there are different kinds of people in the world and different people with different kinds of culture, it's something that you always have to be on top of. It's something that you always have to keep developing. It's something you have to keep, being conscious of. Okay, so before you start talking, wait, pause, and think, how does this person, understand things? What is this person's culture? What is the perception around this person? Maybe you want to start by listening. As a matter of fact, I would want to say that a very big chunk of communication actually comes from listening. In this instance, where you probably might not be able to hear your clients, maybe because they live in like different locations, and you just need to pass across an information to them. A good research, just a quick research into how they operate, would really go a long way. So taking your time to listen, if you have the opportunity to do so, would really help you to understand your client's level of communication and how you can relate. As a matter of fact, I heard a wise man once say that you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and why you have that is because you need to listen twice as much as you speak. Okay, so many times you just get carried away. So even if you're the one supposed to be passing on the instruction or dishing out instructions for people to carry out, it's very important that you actually listen, because once you listen, you're able to understand better what that person or how that person perceives communication to be, and then you can now speak in the way that the person can understand you. All right, so I don't want to make this video too long, but just simply put, communication is a skill that is ever evolving. Okay, so the fact that I'm learning the UK culture now, learning different teams, languages, and well, of course not languages, but different teams, style of communication, doesn't mean that once I get confident and perfect in this particular circle, I have mastered the whole communication style. No, like I said, it's an ever evolving process, because I'll probably have to deal with some other stakeholders that are not from this particular area, and I would also need to understand how they communicate to be able to communicate effectively with them, to be able to achieve a successful project at the end of the day. See, a lot of projects have failed because of communication issues, like a lot. So you have the project manager giving out this instruction, and then it's being interpreted this other way, and then something else is done, and then a lot of resources are just being wasted. And also, communication is a very vital skill, no matter the size of the project, even if it's a small project or it's a big project. As a matter of fact, that's the reason why with your very small projects, you need to start practicing this act of, actually communicating effectively, so that, when the stakes are now bigger, you've actually understood the gravity of communication. You don't take chances, when you're handling those kind of bigger projects. Okay, so yeah, that's just the little I would like to share today about communication. I hope you have learned a thing or two. It's very vital in projects, and it's something that you want to pay a lot of attention to. Okay, so it's not just about writing it in your CV or just saying it very quickly, I have excellent communication skills. No, how well have you put in the research into learning people's communication styles, and how deliberate are you around communication. It's a very deliberate act that you have to keep grooming yourself on, and you keep improving yourself in. All right, so thank you so much for watching today's episode of my project management stories, and I'm hoping to see you in the next one. All right, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Bye.